baby beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad.
First get out into the bus, so you're like, oh no!
Yeah, I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
Yeah, because you haven't learned anything.
You know what I'm going to do? Oh, shut up and take my podcast, yeah?
Oh my god.
No, we didn't.
What are you talking about?
Well, because I thought you were
where
going to
is
do
this
a
voice
British...
from?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I thought you were going to do a British accent, but you turned out with a half Jamaican one.
Phil, how do we feel about that British accent?
This hurts so much.
Sounds good.
We could do a really shit American one.
Yeah, that would
I
make me
did an
feel better.
entire
That would-
episode in a shit American accent.
You got a comment about it.
A whole podcast in the worst Scandinavian accent you've ever heard.
It's not out yet.
The worst accent they've never heard.
You know what out is right now?
The podcast that they have heard, which is Shut Up and Take My Podcast, the Australian Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody glorious tournament battle for your entertainment. And good news, everyone. We are in round one of the quarter final. The gauntlet begins in earnest, and joining me on the battlefield today, I am graced with the presence of Ellen.
You know, I really don't make enough roast.
It's true, you don't.
Shut up.
It's a vegetarian.
Well, yeah.
Presiding over the weapons that are on display today, Mr. Phil.
Most satisfactory.
And officiating the upcoming battle, Sexy Chris.
One deviled egg. The same deviled Chris. And
We're joined
by
Sean.
What does blue smell like?
Baba Dee Dubba Da.
Okay, have you smelled red?
Flim did a recent cover of
No.
Remix.
Have you smelled purple?
No.
I
can't
think
help
you had a
Okay.
stroke, Chris, is what happened there. You shouldn't really smell colours.
Do you have synesthesia?
Were you trying to figure out if I'd smelt purple and red, then whatever the extra smell that's missing from purple is what blue
What do you
is?
think it would-
It's like
Gotcha.
icy pole, Gatorade.
Well, I was going to say
smell.
blue, I'm just trained to think a natural sugary snack. Like the
yeah.
blue snakes or...
Antifreeze.
like it's always that...
So good.
What do they always say? It's like blue raspberry? And you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck
Blue
even is this
raspberry.
flavour?
Yeah, you not heard of blue raspberry?
No.
It's
It's
always
like blueberry except raspberry.
Isn't that just a blueberry?
No, Sean, come on. Listen. It's a podcast. You have to listen to what we say.
Well, they'll be listening to us today as we pit our first two episodes together, which is, first of all, our season 3 winner from what is probably 2 years ago, Roswell That Ends Well, going up against the season 6 winner, which I always have to look at what it's called. I don't know why, but it's all the
Well, it's a bit
president's
longer.
heads.
I could give you the elevator pitch.
Do it.
Fry.
I'm interested to hear this. This is interesting and new.
Okay.
If we can keep it under 20 seconds, and yeah.
All right.
An elevator pitch should be the length of an elevator ride.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, so the first one is about them traveling back to Roswell and trying to escape. And the second one is about them traveling back to Revolutionary era.
Please don't
trying
talk to me in
to
an
fix
elevator,
history.
sir.
There's an interesting thing that I've seen recently is it says explain your favorite movie in the most boring way
Yes,
possible.
that's right.
Can you one sentence a really boring version of both these episodes?
Sorry, no description of Pacific Rim will ever be boring. So,
People,
Man. Now that's exciting even.
a bunch of people go on a trip together to change stuff, but in the end, nothing really changes except for one small thing.
That applies to both of them. It's almost like
shit, I thought you were doing a movie, and I was like,
What movie is that?
so
Most
just-
of them.
Interstellar.
well, here's mine.
Haven't seen
a
it.
guy sometimes forgets stuff. Maybe something about his wife too.
That's Interstellar?
Memento?
Memento.
Ah.
Shit.
Mine is a man slows down time sometime.
I was gonna say guy finds out he's special. No one knows.
That's kind of it as well.
The Matrix?
Yeah, it's the Matrix. Guy slows
shit.
down time sometime.
Ah!
Because he do.
He do.
He do
Yeah.
slow that time.
How he do that?
He do that slow time.
How he do that?
But how? He won.
He
Neo.
thinks really hard. Yeah.
He believe.
He believe.
He Jesus. That's the whole movie.
This
Big
might be
G.
a deep cut. Guy falls in love, appreciates his family.
Shakespeare in Love.
Princess Bride?
No,
Spider-Man.
About time with Donald
I
Gleason,
haven't-
which is technically a time traveling movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, you have. We watched it. It made you cry. You liar. Remember?
No?
It's got Donald Gleason and Rachel McAdams
Yeah.
and Bill,
When would-
and
when
Bill
would
Nye
Chris-
is the dad.
When would Chris have
And
watched
Bill
this with
Nye
you?
is the dad.
Yeah, I put it on, and Chris cried. And don't you? He's putting on a little act here now,
really
isn't he? A
not.
little acty act.
Here's the advantage of being me. My comedy is dry as sand to the point
Ooh,
where
that's very dry.
to the point where people consider it coarse and gets everywhere.
No.
Your favorite movie is
The other thing is that I have an appalling
Clone Wars?
memory.
Attack of the
Wars.
Clones. Attack of the Clones.
What?
Attack of the Clones. Yeah, Clone
I'm
Wars
going to
is
look
a
up.
series.
What was it called, Ellen?
About time.
While you're doing that, so we are up to the Futurama tournament, believe it or not.
Yeah.
These are our 2 time travel episodes. I'm pretty sure these are the only 2 that fit the time travel mold, unless Into the Wild Green Yonder has as well. Or
No, Into the Wild Green Yonder doesn't have time travel, does it?
The only one that might
so.
would be
The other movie did. The
Into
Bender's
the
Big
Wild
Score.
Green Yonder?
Yeah, no.
No, that's in the
Yeah,
tournament.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like other time tab.
Yeah. Always.
Do we do?
Well, isn't Meanwhile? Did Meanwhile make it through?
Yeah, meanwhile,
I
it's a season
guess-
7 winner.
Yeah.
yeah, but is it time travel?
Yeah,
They
kind of.
stop time.
But then you come back
I
in
know
time
what
at the
movie
end.
you were talking about, Ellen.
Yeah.
It's got the redhead lad.
Donald Gleason. I believe I said that. I believe I said that.
But we're here to
And Bill
talk
Nye
about...
is the dad.
We're here to talk
Okay.
about a different red-haired lad.
Hey, Sean with a segue. Take a drink.
Zoidberg.
Read everything, I guess.
Where'd he get that hair? It's on the inside.
Something I've noticed, right, is coming back to these, is you notice different things watching them again.
Like every single visual gag and written.
Yeah, and I start to concentrate on things like scene structure and pacing and cutting a lot more.
Yeah.
And that was something I noticed about Roswell, is that it keeps cutting between these these scenes which are not that are happening concurrently. You've got
Yeah.
Zoidberg.
The A plot, the B plot, and
C-plot.
the C plot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got one part follows Zoidberg, one part follows Fry, and then the other part follows the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they cut between them really artfully in such that it never gets boring, and then they come back together nicely such that, for example, when
Enos?
Fry
Oh.
sleeps with his grandma,
Mildred.
Ethel? Mildred.
Mildred,
Mithril.
Mithril.
it combines back up with the scene.
Fry did stab
Sorry.
her.
Yes.
And he was hard as
Oh.
dragon scales.
Hey.
Ellen and I are the worst.
Yes. You're fired.
Oh, thank God.
Oh my goodness.
Release
I can
me.
get a real job.
Yes, sir, Phil.
Yeah, and then it links back up with them standing outside the window and waiting for the camera to take them all in before they voice their disgust.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, both of them do, and this is what I really like in a Futurama episode, just crack along. Like, I mean, Roswell has the benefit of it is all in the same location. It's in Roswell, whereas all the president's heads, we go everywhere. You know, we go in brief period. We go to the 60s. We go to the 20s. We go, you know, back to the 1700s. We go back to the alternate
31st century.
Present.
present. And then back again. Like, there's a lot that we do. And it's just always in comparing these episodes, it's just so fun to see how when you have to cram in a lot of locations, how you can still do it in that same amount of time. It's just,
It's also cool to see, like, just pitting, because we've gone through this chronologically, and
Yeah.
now we finally got to smash cut a first run era episode with the second one, just seeing how the visual language changes of the episode as well, and just how, like, the second series just feels faster inherently in the way that they're animated, because they're much more slickly drawn. It's high definition.
Yeah.
It's very weird. The one thing I did that stuck out for me for all the president's heads is when they go back to the 1920s. This is a weird thing that stuck out to me for the episode when they're in the Prohibition era bar, and then the cops pull up from the outside, but you don't see the cops. You just see the red and the
lights.
blue lights. It reminded me of like a sitcom that has run out of their budget for the week, and they want to incorporate that, but they don't want to show it.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I really like that gag, mainly because we get the pertinent information and then we get the fun thing of the bullet holes through the bar.
It also starts the multi-part joke with Bender.
Which I think is my
Yeah.
favorite
Yes.
continuity joke.
Oh, yeah.
That
He's got the
runs
mobster
through.
in his. Both of these episodes utilize Bender's body, I will say.
Yes.
I love the fun of all the president's heads where no one is really phased by a walking automaton. It's more just like, oh, I mean, he's a machine, so it's obviously this other machine that
Ben
we're using.
Franklin.
That talks.
But they're always correct.
Yes.
It's a nice little payoff.
I wanted to jump back to what Sean was talking about with animation, because both of them have 3D, but the first season makes a big deal out of it, I think a lot more. Not as to like an advantage or a disadvantage, but because the animators are so fucking clearly proud of it.
Yeah, they
they're
want to
like,
show it off.
Hey, look at this big sun that we did.
Yeah.
It's 3D.
Look at this big tank that's coming right towards you.
Well, I did think that intro was it felt very classic sci-fi. It felt like the opening to a Star Trek or something.
Yeah.
Which really appeals to me. I
I do
really
quite
that.
like space and Futurama. Like anytime,
Yes.
anytime we see it, it's always fun. Like,
Yeah.
and there's quite a few episodes where we don't necessarily see space. Like, we know we're in the future.
You went to space this morning for donuts.
You went to Mars for this
It's not
morning.
the
don't you?
same. But do you know what I mean? Like when we get to see nebulas and galaxies and stuff.
And God.
And God,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the
Do they,
gang's all here.
do they go into space in President's Heads?
No.
No, they don't.
No,
do
it's
they? Still
the sci-fi is the time traveling.
totally forgot that Fry had a second job.
So,
Oh, yeah.
Well, he
For the
needs
worst
it to
fucking
buy the
reason.
coffee to stay up, so
It's
he
like
can
a
do his
reason
night
I
job.
would do it.
I'm fairly sure.
Yeah,
when
it
we,
really is, isn't
I'm
it?
fairly sure when we discussed all the president's heads, you and I both said that
Yeah, sounds right.
sounds.
That checks
did
out.
you did you start out doing overnights?
I started out doing mornings.
I did
Right.
overnights.
Yeah, I've worked overnights at a petrol station, and it does make you. But also, I worked at one with a barista coffee machine, so I would
Oh no!
practice making coffees because
By
that's.
pouring it directly into my eyeballs.
See,
Well,
I kept walking around
now
the
we're really seeing.
store completely tired and having anxiety attacks because I would be so tired on my feet that I would knock stock over and break it.
Oh.
Like bottles of olive oil.
Oh no!
And I'd be like,
so slippery as. I'm sorry, did you work in a sitcom, Chris?
Oh, there's
literally
security.
slippery.
There's security
My feet
footage
would
of me.
flick out under me.
I went.
Is this your phone?
This is one where I was picking up a fire extinguisher and I started to move it, and then as I put it down and started to walk away, I noticed that a spider web was attached to my hand from the fire extinguisher, and I was pulling this spider towards me.
oh, you made a friend.
Oh no!
And so I start, and if you watch the security footage, I start backing away. And then what I don't realize is that there are 3 milk crates behind me, and I backflip over it and fall.
Oh, no.
And I went to go find it the next day, mysteriously, and I swear to God it wasn't me. It had been erased.
Oh wow!
The
You
spider or
shamed
the
the
milk
company.
crate?
I don't know where the spider ended up.
all the footage.
There's 2 times where my manager has called me into the office,
footage.
not for anything
okay.
like serious, to watch stupid footage of myself, where a bird had got into the store, and there's about 40 minutes of the bird sporadically popping up because he was sitting right in front of the camera in the store, and me
very
basically
funny.
chasing him around with a broom.
Saw that awesome video about the woman on the weather report. Have you seen that one? And the giant like raven's
Yeah,
head
yeah.
appears in the camera. There's a massive bird. It's like next to her screen. She,
The other one was my store had been robbed like maybe 15 minutes before I started my shift.
Yo.
So I walked in.
That was you.
And
Yeah.
the police were there, and basically I walk in, my headphones are on, I see the police talking to my co-worker, and like basically the front counter is just in array, like stuff strewn everywhere because she tried to climb over, and like my manager was like, look at your fucking self, because I come in like with my headphones, I like lift my headphone off, and my expression is just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
oh no, God, no. I think both.
Jesus. You've only been doing this for how long?
I think both of these episodes have a very similar like attitude.
Yeah.
They're very
It's
freewheeling.
very irreverent and
Yes.
silly, which
Yeah.
are
Yes.
both big pluses for me.
They both have these like really dumb jokes they get away with by going full bore at them. Like, oh, this precise chronometer says that we're in 1960 whatever. Whatever.
'Cause
they're,
it's
50.
now a pinup
Because now it's 1943 because it's now a
43, yeah.
pinup calendar.
Yeah.
43, 47, 47.
Yeah. And just
57?
Yeah.
the whole running gag with Fry trying to save Enos and just making it worse every single time.
It really does escalate. Yeah. I guess maybe that's one thing Roswell hammers a joke home until it's kind of like...
It's starting to push it a little bit.
But it's just that commitment that makes it quite funny, where you're like, oh, I can't believe they were still on this same joke. Whereas all the president's heads, I don't know, I feel like it cuts a lot. Some of the jokes of a same flavour.
I feel like they ride things like the Franklinator a little hard.
I appreciate it.
We get it.
I appreciate it.
It's wonderful.
Because they go for but they add
they
to
have
it
the
too. It's
chipmunk.
like,
Yes.
Franklinator, chipmunk, and then there's a shark.
There's a baby,
There's a shark, yeah.
baby shark.
Also, it has one of my favorite jokes of Futurama, and a lot of them come from the second run, which is great. But he's over there puking on the bushes.
Oh, yes.
That one's I really enjoyed.
I mean, we
that.
gotta love
Yeah.
it just for that.
There are
alone.
so many dumb
47
jokes.
is Roswell. 47. 1947.
Also, just for those of you that are coming to us in the tournament, you crazy people that have never come to us before,
go back.
Go
Go
listen
fuck
to our
back.
episode on All the President's Heads, because we have both the director and the writer of the episode.
That was such a fun episode.
There with us,
as
Mr.
well.
Mr. Steven Sandoval and Josh Weinstein.
Yeah, it was great
gosh.
to be there in the room with you guys.
You got to hear our voices and
Yeah,
edit.
I got to
it.
edit you guys. That was fun.
That's fun. That's almost like having friends, Chris.
Yeah,
That you can
have a
control.
parasocial
that's what
relationship.
being a director is.
Oh god! And we talked a lot in that episode about the design of
Yes.
that episode, because they get to do quite a lot with it in the
And
in
a
the
lot
back
of that
end.
was done by Amy Steinberger.
Yeah.
Which
But we also have a episode with
yeah, super fun episode with her and Crystal Chesney.
Thompson.
Yeah, because they're BFFs, and it was very adorable.
was
But yeah,
lovely.
I will say both of these episodes have very fun because we're time traveling, and it's always fun to, or it's always easy to tell a decade by fashion and aesthetic.
Yeah.
It's really easier to sum up in hindsight an era of fashion, even though that's not quite how fashion works. Like it's not just poodle skirts for the whole of the 50s. Like obviously
And then
there's
as
a
soon
range.
as you hit
Zoot
1960,
suits.
no, get rid of them.
Exactly. Out. We got to start mod now. But
I mean, it was a bit like that, wasn't it?
All right, it's time for mod.
yeah. But like this.
What's that? Punk. Oh no.
But this,
Oh,
yeah. Oh dear. Watch what you're doing, Westwood. Watch those safety pins. Have you disinfected them? Sorry, but it's
Mum, they're
so
safe.
it's so much fun to really jump from. We've got the 20s. We've got
Andy Warhol.
yeah, we've got the
Oh, yeah.
60s. We've got 1700s fashion, and then we've got a reimagining of a crazy alternate America that's conquered by England.
What are you talking about?
Where it's mainly Victorian era fashion, but
Some of it's French.
yeah,
Some of it looks really French.
and some of it's like kind of steampunky. Like
Yeah.
it's very fun.
It's very silly. They
And
lean into it so hard.
Yeah, similar to Roswell as well. We get like the crazy them not understanding what fashion they're
fashion
meant to
is.
doing. So we've
Yes.
got
the zoot suit.
yeah,
Oh.
the zoot suit and a typical like 50s like poodle skirt and little sweater kind of combo. Like that is just, it's so much fun. And I think both of these episodes are really vibrant and colourful. And I mean, we've already talked about the animation, but like they have a lot of fun with pushing and flexing their muscles.
I feel like there's usually, in episodes that get this wacky, there's usually some point where they kind of signal to you how far they feel like they're going to push it. And for me, in Roswell, that is the point where they go, looks like it's going to be an interesting year for Roswell. And they like lean forward and they're like, yes, we are not going to let up in this
Then
episode.
they hammer it with the conspiracy theorists
Yes.
there as
That's
well.
actually true. I don't know if I talked about that before.
I think you did for the Roswell episode.
Yeah, because
Were you there? Yeah, you
they
were.
actually did kind of
wasn't.
nudge a conspiracy
They get cranks
theorist
to-
because they were doing a lot of like dodgy
Right,
shit
right,
at
right.
that time. So they're
And that
like,
helps
we'll give a
discredit it.
little bit of truth to him and no one's going to believe him. So, yeah.
They're doing experiments on aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta-
unfortunately.
I gotta say, coming at it from wait, were you saying a point? Did I just?
Well, I was just going to
steamroll
say,
over it?
in the second,
you being
in
coherent?
Yeah.
President's Heads, it's when they flash back and meet Warhol. You're like, okay, all
Okay,
right.
this is where you're at.
Yeah.
This is the level of silliness. And as long as you're primed, you're good. Sorry.
I got to say though, with the second one coming at it from the year 2020, I can't listen to them say, oh, here's Alexander Hamilton. And not be disappointed by who I see.
This isn't Lin-Manuel
No,
Miranda.
and then like John Adams, like, what? No, you're not. You are not.
Well, I hope you haven't heard. Oh shit! What's the other musical? Is it 1776?
1776.
There is a musical that is from the perspective of, well, not the perspective, but John Adams is the hero.
Oh,
Yeah.
how'd that go? Was it successful?
I don't know. But
guess I've never heard of
Lin-Manuel
it, so-
Miranda is a fan of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah,
So,
he
there you
seems
go.
lovely.
He's allowed to be a fan.
Seems like a
His-
huge
his was
fucking
better.
nerd.
Yeah, that's why I think he
That's why
seems
he's in
lovely.
musical theatre.
Yeah, that's right.
I reckon. Let's try this out. We did it last time. Without going into why, just see if you can put a sentence. You don't need to quantify it. One bad thing about each of these episodes.
This is so fucking hard. I always hate you come this time.
Yeah, great.
So there's
I'll make you do a voice after.
I
too.
don't know. I don't know if this is like a straight big point against it, but it feels a little bit awkward. Fry being like so against Enos being gay, and I know it's because he's got skin in the game.
What kind
So
of
to
skin?
speak.
His literally whole body.
It's
in the
literally his
game.
whole body, but it still feels. If you imagine the amount of oppression Enos is going through in his own time anyway, I know that's reading too much into it, but it just feels, it makes me slightly uncomfortable.
It's all right. This is the no judging sentence without quantifying table. So
And as we said before, there's a little bit of, they take a couple of jokes almost to the edge.
shave a bit off the tip.
Yeah, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
But Zoidberg makes up for it in the episode.
It's a Zoidbird.
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 Hello.
Squawk.
What is it he says when he goes, when he gets discovered by the trucks?
I think he just says,
What is?
oh, what is?
What is?
And then in
President's
heads, I feel like they sort of give up narratively towards the end, and it's just like, okay, we're just gonna do silly jokes now, and it doesn't. And then they just sort of tie it up arbitrarily. If it feels like they kind of give up actually tying the plot together at some point. Those are my criticisms.
Would you like to go, Chris?
No. I'm
very
still
civil.
thinking.
Well, I would not.
Oh, you don't want to? Okay.
Sean,
So you must.
Oh, let's have a look. Okay, so doesn't even need to quantify it. This is great. I love this. I love
you could
this game.
you could literally just say anything. You hate badges.
I quantified the shit out of mine.
Roswell. I would be interested to see where Hermes and Amy would fit into this episode because I missed them. And for all the president's heads, I think that I'm going to handball over to someone else while I think of all the president's heads.
All right. I'll do both of mine.
Awesome.
Okay.
Roswell That Ends Well. I don't like the Mildred gag at the very end where she becomes an old granny. I'm not a fan of it. I don't find it funny. And All the President's Heads. I'm not a fan of the episode.
Okay.
Cool.
Do you want to go or do you want me?
you-
Oh, we need
got
to
it.
quantify it.
Probably Roswell That Ends Well. Like, we do say it is kind of like a joke machine, right? Sometimes where you're just throwing jokes out. Like some things like maybe it's just certain references. Like, I'm fairly sure the president says something and I'm like, no, didn't get that one. And like the end, we didn't need the payoff of him eating lunch off the toilet. I don't know. It just,
The latrine dinner.
it felt a bit flat for me. Like, it's still funny, but it was just more like, I didn't really want that. But
We need a callback to that joke.
yeah, and I guess president's heads, I think, with as much as I do love how we don't have to quantify it, but whatever. I can't not. Like, as much as I do love how much it does, I do feel similarly that it starts to lose steam a little bit at the end. It feels like it's getting to the end, so it's just like, whatever, just wrap it up. Yeah.
I think for all the president's heads, I kind of want the opposite. I want to take a few of the periphery characters away and make it a more tighter episode with maybe just the central three in Farnsworth.
Yeah.
And just make it about them. And we don't have to worry about going and seeing how I'm quantifying. Oh, no! Yeah. So in Roswell, maybe more people. Who knows? In All the Presidents, maybe less people.
God, you're a fickle creature,
I think
Sean.
Roswell can only be improved by just adding more Zoidberg
That's it,
scenes.
right?
Oh, Zoidberg.
More
It's just so
Zoidberg.
good.
Yeah.
It's just that episode is such. It's Zoidberg classic after Zoidberg classic.
It could become mean after a while,
Yeah,
though.
okay. It
'Cause
doesn't
he's
actually- it has actually just the right
He
amount of
is so
Zoidberg.
sweet.
It's funny because the whole ethos of the early episodes of Shut Up for Us was Zoidberg's the best. I feel like this quantifies exactly why. Like, he's so fucking sweet.
Yeah.
And he has once again, this episode also has one of my favorite jokes, which is the deviled egg. That's
Deviled
probably
egg.
my most quoted Futurama line.
The same deviled
Deviled
egg.
egg.
Also, just his glee at his manners, like him forgetting his wallet to the buffet, and so someone has to. Someone has
It's
to.
free.
I like the little callback to Roswell that was in All the President's Heads
Yes,
as well.
that is very
I do
Farnsworth
as well.
mentioning the grandma. I wish we could have seen. I didn't spot Truman in the Hall of Heads. I don't know if anyone else did, but I didn't see him.
No, I mean,
didn't
to be
see
clear,
him, yeah.
to be frank, I don't give a shit about most of American history. So a lot of the presidents.
Neither do a lot of Americans,
The
apparently.
only one I know really is Taft, and that's because on My Favorite Murder they have a running joke where it's like fat old Taft in a bathtub.
I love that Taft is the
God bless
president
him.
you
God
remember.
I know-
Oh,
I
that
know-
would have been great.
'Cause he was
Ellen, can
to
I
see
ask?
Truman spot Zoidberg at the party.
Yeah, that's right.
That would have been great.
Oh
Ellen,
wait,
what-
that's Nixon.
What do you know about Taft? Out of curiosity, do you just know that?
He was a fat guy in a bathtub.
Yeah, and that's enough for me.
He was the inventor of
God
taffy.
bless.
I know.
I like the idea of just
Taft.
a jolly old man in a bathtub.
I know Carter because he gave up the peanut farm and built houses for people.
Yeah.
Who was the president that died in 30 days?
Oh,
Jackie Chan. No, that's around the world
I should know this.
in 80 days. And it's not Jackie Chan, it's
Nah.
Jules
Do
Verne.
you want me to look it up?
Nah,
Okay.
it's fine.
Who was the fat guy in the bathtub? Oh, I know. Taft.
Thanks, Ellen.
Who's the fat guy in the bathtub?
Taft.
So I feel like
Is that not the joke that they do?
No.
All right. Hey, it's a Phil original.
Phil, right in.
Yay!
oh, here's one just as a little
Thanks for
reverse.
coming with me.
Chris,
Yeah.
can you give one good thing from All the President's Heads?
Sure. I really,
Fuck off.
Your opinion's garbage.
I really like.
That thing.
Oh, God, you really didn't like this episode.
Oh no.
Oh, wow. You didn't like the episode at all.
Should some of us
Should we
jump in?
delve into this?
We may have to.
Why you don't
Okay,
like
why don't
it?
you like this episode?
I don't get it.
Oh, it's
I don't. I think you guys talked about it as you were talking about it. I was listening. I was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." Reflecting on my own experience of it, when you're talking about how the episode gets crazier and kind of like less coherent, or like less, you're on the ride for it less. I'm not on the ride at all.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, I'm kind of watching, being like, "What's happening?"
Farnsworth's trying to clear his name.
No, I get that. Shit. You know what happens? It's when the party starts that I'm confused and kind of like distant from it because I'm following Fry. I'm like, okay, this makes all sense. And then the party starts with all the heads, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
we're having
They're
a party
bored.
with the whole of President's Heads, and they're all presidents.
yeah.
Would you
I don't
not?
know. I don't know.
Would you not be bored in there?
It doesn't entertain me, like as a concept.
Yeah, I
Just
think the
like-
idea is that, like,
It,
all these...
it doesn't tickle my.
I love this.
Funny
We've
bone.
finally done
Yeah.
it. We promised blood on this in this tournament battle. We're getting it.
I don't. No, I'm trying to think of something. I'm because I'm not trying to be like, I'm not doing this as a bit where I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a stuck in the
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm literally trying to be like a positive, enjoy a show that I really enjoy.
I'm going to message Stephen Sandoval after
Please
this.
do.
Chris is dead.
We
to us.
fired, don't worry, we fired Chris. It's
Yeah,
okay.
he's dead.
He actually thanked us, so we think about reversing that decision.
Yeah, can
To
you bring him?
punish him further.
Yeah, can you bring him back to
We
life?
put a cage in the basement and we put a microphone and he has to talk about inane bullshit all week. That's my heaven, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Punishment?
Are we torturing him?
Just give me a catheter and let it ride.
Oh God, it's disgusting. You're really struggling, Chris.
How about I'll start the voting process
Can
for
you
this
guys talk
episode.
about funny moments in it? And I'll try.
I mean,
and,
once again, I love a lot of I love the elbow gag.
Yeah.
I love the bushes gag.
which one's the elbow one?
Elbow.
Elbow.
I liked the bushes one. That was really clever writing.
Yep.
I liked that a lot.
I think I just like the idea of licking a president's head.
I like the
it's a
bullshit
toad.
science. That really classic Futurama science explanation of how the time travel works.
Yep.
I quite like the over-the-top, the British parody history movie at the end,
Yep.
where they show like a bit of Monty Python animation and,
Yeah.
and a few other like
Oh,
really
that whole
classic-
documentary was awesome.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
I do really, I love the fun and the irreverence of like, oh, we're just going to make fun of Britain? All right, we're going to make fun of
Let's
Britain.
go for
Roll
it.
up our sleeves.
The man, I can't remember his name, but he can't help himself from just going off at the British Guards.
Oh, Paul Revere.
Yeah, Paul
Yeah,
Revere.
yeah.
Damn British
Yeah,
bastard!
we talked about this.
Well, he loves to, ring his bell.
Didn't mind that.
What else?
Didn't enjoy the parody at all. The video parody part. Like, I feel like a weirdo.
Beveling Planisher.
Franklinator.
Didn't like Franklin.
Oh, I so love it. I think it feels like, no, I'm on board with Chris on
it's
that
the
one.
crockpot here. the crockpot's arrived.
The bender,
the
bender gag
Bender
where they keep
functions.
mistaking him for something every time.
Not even him being
Sorry,
a
no.
canon.
The
or-
fashion.
Not realizing
It's not
that he was a
funny.
canon.
I
can
didn't say
appreciate
it was funny.
I can appreciate it.
Oh, you did say funny
don't get me
moments,
wrong,
actually.
Futurama is one of my fucking favorite shows of all time. I watch this show and I enjoy it. Like, I'm not angry and being like, this, I hate this.
I mean, I don't think
Aside.
anyone thinks you are.
Why is,
God,
I
good.
do.
why is he so
Fair.
angry?
Yeah, I'm always angry.
Why doesn't he
that's
like
just
every
baseline
single
angry.
episode?
So that's baseline anger.
Yeah.
Why do we have Chris on this podcast? Yeah, I don't know.
Cannot find a single thing that he
didn't
enjoyed.
jangle your jimmies.
Just didn't touch you in the right place.
Didn't give you a...
Didn't
Well, I'm
crown
go-
your knickers and nick you in the crown.
I'm going to vote now.
Go.
It's Roswell for me. I think the way the scenes are intercut is really artful. They're all timed right, and it just has a peerless sense of comic timing all the way through. And that means they make huge mileage out of things like Zoidberg saying "hello" at the right time, and it's just like simple word and cutaway gags like that just really make it. Yeah, I just feel like it's very artful. It's not just crazy, that it's actually cut together really nicely. And I think you probably get more mileage out of All the President's Heads if you were a bit more of a American history nut. And I can vicariously see the appeal, but it doesn't appeal as much to me. And there are definitely elements about it that it shares with Roswell alike, that it just doesn't hold back and it just gets really out there when it wants to, and just isn't afraid to just be dumb in places and just make me giggle that way. But Roswell, I feel like it has all those dumb moments, but it also is very coherent, tied together really nicely. And as I said, you've got 3 plot lines that are really tightly edited together, such that none of them get boring or get lost.
I would like to go next.
Go. Next.
I am going to say All the President's Heads. Because literally today I was so excited. I mean, I've seen Roswell a lot and I love that episode, but I was just genuinely excited to watch All the President's Heads because I had so much fun. And I think it's like, contrary to what you said, Phil, I love the chaos of it. I love, for me, that tee-off point where it's like, hey, do you know how we're about to get silly? We're going to throw a party with all the president's heads and it's like a bacchanalian fest where we're showing elbows, we're licking presidents, we're throwing up in their heads. Like, it's that. And I'm like, oh, okay, shit's about to get strange. And just, I think I really admire the prowess that it takes to, like I said, cram so much into one episode. Like, we go so many places, but it never, for me, feels like it drags too long. It's like, oh, we spent a little bit of time here, a little bit of time here. We go back just enough to see what is fucking strange about this alternate timeline. Okay, now we got to go back to the status quo. I love simply the fashion, the aesthetics, the attention to detail. You said, Phil, I really like those little things where it's like, oh, they researched this and they want to show like how much they did. It's so cute.
Show your homework.
They showed their work, but in a really fun way, because it's the research plus the irreverence. Where it's like, yeah, we did do all this work, but fuck it. I'm gonna go for whatever's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had so much fun in All the President's Heads. So.
So that's 1 on the board for Roswell and 1 on the board for All the President's Heads. Chris, where are you going?
Surprising you all. No, I'm joking.
Neither of these episodes.
Roswell. I think if you were to
What?
show it to anyone who hadn't watched Futurama, it would be something that you can say the rest of the show is like this. It is tightly written, beautifully edited. The animation is, even for 2003?
Yes.
Incredible. It still holds up. The use of Zoidberg, the use of a smaller ensemble, the Fry narrative of him being his own grandfather is, as a concept, hey, you know that thing in fucking Back to the Future? We're going to rip on that. Except he's going to do it. He's going to fuck
And
his
it's
own grandfather.
fine. It's fine,
And it
everybody.
happens. You know,
History doesn't care.
History doesn't care. Is a perverted friend over here. And just Zoidberg. He has so many good one-liners. Like, I think the 3 kind of pushes, the 3 kind of main things of Zoidberg's irreverency, the world building that they make with Fry and with Leela and the Professor, where they're exploring kind of 1947 Americana,
Trying to get a microwave.
Your wife is going to be standing in front of this thing all day.
Yeah.
And Leela being a badass and just not taking shit. Fry having to deal with these high sci-fi concept things is kind of like the 3 Futurama-y things that I really like. And then I think you can point to and be like, hey, the rest of the show is like this, in different levels, in different scales. And it resolves beautifully with them going to get Bender. You know, they play the sucker where they're like, oh, Bender's dead. No, it's not.
He's just waiting.
He's just waiting. Because he's a robot.
He's a robot.
Because
He
it's
doesn't
sci-fi.
die.
Because we can do that.
Yeah.
And they walk off into what is clearly fucking hand-drawn shit. That final frame is clearly hand-drawn.
Yeah.
You can see the heavy line work, and it's just so fucking gorgeous. So Roswell.
Great. So I'm going to talk very quickly about All the President's Heads, because me personally, I've always been a big advocate for the second run of the series. I have said time and time again how much I disagree with all the criticism that has come from both season 6 and 7. And I think that what's interesting about putting these episodes together is that you take very similar episodes in a lot of ways, from not only the time travel aspect, but the fact that they're focusing on an extended relative of one of the main characters, the fact that they're dealing with presidents. Like, there's so many different things you can tie together. And what is interesting is seeing how both of them approach it from a very different style. And you look at Roswell, and there is still that grounded nature to it with All the President's Heads. It's got a much more manic, chaotic energy to it, which is also just indicative of the difference I've found between 90s animation and animation that you find today. Like, I do believe that there is something that has been, I don't want to say lost. Like, I just think that there's something that TV shows and, more to the point, animations have not been able to recapture, and it's something to do with the heart of storytelling. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's just the way things have changed. It's how you get something like Rick and Morty or Adventure Time or things like that. There's just an inherent chaotic energy to it that I haven't seen since something like Ren and Stimpy, for example. So I enjoy the second run for a lot of different reasons. And I really love the chaotic neutral vibe that it gives me. And I think there's a lot of strengths to it. And again, talking about All the President's Head specifically, as you were saying, Ellen, like the effort they go into to show their work and to show, like, it's the reason why I love something like Mass Effect. Just get me straight into that lore, get me into that history, really allow me to, for me, as someone that grew up with kind of Americana and like, give me Roswell, give me the Revolutionary War, I'll eat it all up. However, Roswell That Ends Well, for me, is the epitome of heart in an episode, and mixing that with the jokes, it just feels like it takes the very best of what I thoroughly enjoy about a Futurama episode and blends them effortlessly. What it doesn't have is it doesn't have the chaotic energy that I think maybe actually they could have lent a little bit more into. That's maybe a way that you could improve on something that's almost perfect, is maybe a bit more about stakes in the third act where things are getting a little bit more kind of frantic. But other than that, I think Roswell just has perfect character narratives, perfect heart, perfect stakes, and it has far-reaching consequences into the future.
Yes.
So it's a very important episode, and it's one that is enshrined in the history of Futurama for a reason. That being said, Roswell That Ends Well is going to take it for me.
A worthy winner.
Yeah.
Worthy winner.
I mean, it's almost like these two made it through the bracket.
Yeah,
right?
it's almost as if they're considered by many of us to be the best episodes of each season.
Yeah.
And most of their
Yeah,
time
alright.
travel episodes, by the way, all time travel episodes, I think across the board have been pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Bender's Big Score, the late Philip J. Fry. It's
Which one? Talk around it.
it's the episode that has the Harlem Globetrotters in it, and it's
Time Keeps Slipping.
Nope, there's another one that is in the 6th season,
That one's still good though.
and
Still time travel.
it has a wash bucket.
Oh,
Me in this wash bucket. God,
Uh,
that doesn't really
sorry,
help me with
can't
the
help
plot.
you.
Talk
Yeah,
more about
can't
the
help
plot.
you.
The actual plot.
And the Farnsworth Parabox. No.
That's the alternate
No.
universe one.
I found something that I really liked in
is it the one where they switch
President's
bodies?
Heads.
Yes.
Is that time travel?
Yeah, it's got Farnsworth in it. It's the one that had it's a Ken Keeler episode because he wrote an algorithm.
That's not time travel though. That's just body swapping.
That's body swapping.
No, I think
Because Bender steals the thing using Amy's body. Remember?
yeah, okay,
And then there's
forget
Big
about it.
Bertha.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called though.
But I remember something really funny in the episode
What?
is when Fry's branch falls on him and he counts the bugs.
17.
17.
17 dung beetles.
That is some quick math, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
Also,
That is a weird detail.
That I like.
Yeah.
why
I like it.
are there dung beetles on a tree?
Because
It's a hologram.
Fry's a poop head.
That's not where poop comes from.
Fry is where poop comes from.
Back to Animal Crossing. Why are dung beetles pushing around my snowballs?
You can't say back to
'Cause they
it.
get
I haven't included it in the
confused.
outtakes
it
yet.
got cut out of the.
No, it's just it's coming.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Dung beetles get confused.
Okay.
They're going to roll something.
So
Yeah.
that's our
Give 'em
winner.
a little
That's
bun.
that's our winner. That is the episode to make it through into the semi-finals.
Ding, 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 ding.
Internet,
It's
put down your pitchforks.
Roswell That Ends Well is our first winner.
Holy shit!
What?
This is only going to get harder.
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, just for reminders for
get
people,
so.
the 3 rounds that we still have to get through are Meanwhile, which is the season finale, up against Into the Wild Green Yonder, which was meant to be a season finale, and we have what's going to
That's
be
going to be hard.
a fucking hard one for me, because these are 2 of my favorite episodes,
Me too,
which is
me too.
Luck of the Friarish, which is their wild card winner, versus The Sting.
I think there may be tears.
Yeah, I mean, that's just going to be a fun episode to record because we had to watch those 2 episodes back.
Well, yeah. We're going to be in a very good mood.
No one's allowed to bring sharp objects into the recording
Sharp
studio.
objects.
Oblex.
An obelisk?
Yeah. Don't bring sharp ones in.
I guess they are kind
Blunt
of sharp.
obelisks.
Oblate.
It was a very sharp piece of mango.
What about Franklinators?
Asterix and Obelix.
Also, if you've ever made a Franklinator, can you take a photo of it and send it to us at babyvidmedia@gmail.com?
Should we do one with Preston?
Can we do one with me?
Yes. Can we make one with
You
Preston?
could lash your rabbit to a bat
Pole, and we'll hold him up and swing him around a bit.
and then take pictures and put it on the internet. 'Cause
See,
that's
here-
not going to get you in trouble.
Here's what I'm saying.
No.
Do it with me. I want to be Franklinated.
You
We gotta
want
find
to be
someone-
Stuck to a bat.
lashed to a pole.
Yes.
We got to...
It's a Friday night, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not your worst Friday night.
Hey. Oh, and
feeling
feel
a
free,
little frisky.
everyone. By the time this comes out, I will have officially turned 29.
Oh my god.
So
Wait, you age?
I never.
I hate that.
It's all that opal he's been licking.
Yeah. That's kind of what I presumed
That's
to
what's here
preserve him.
Yeah. Here in Australia, we got all the opal.
That's true. Yeah, it's actually true.
And until next time, when we find out whether or not Chris was lashed to a pole or not,
Hopefully.
I have been Sexy Sean.
What? You can't do that?
Took a name.
Holy shit. I've been Elenator.
Oh.
I got socialised healthcare. I'm Phil.
And I have been controversial Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Or cold. Cold.
Or comrade.
Chris.
Comrade
right?
Chris.
Socialist Sean.
Socialist Sean.
Hey.
I can't think of one for Ellen.
Egalitarian. Ellen.
Yeah, that's good. Proletariat, Phil.
Hey.
Perfect.
Is this Philanderer, Phil?
Francophile, Phil.
Phil. Because, you know, they do all the rebellions.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
They
Phil's not with it.
guillotined
F,
the rich.
though.
Careful. I might not have faded out by this point.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by emailing us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com. Our socials are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @babybeardmedia. And if you're looking for a way to support us, the best way you can do it is by jumping onto iTunes or the podcast app and giving us a 5-star rating and a nice review. Goes a long way to helping us. Otherwise, if you'd like to join us next week,
Anyway.
shut up
Pretend
and
with-
take my podcast quarterfinals round 1.
Oh, quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals.
Quarterfinal.
I barely know her.
Next, we got the nickel finals.
Nickel finals.
Then the dime finals.
Dime finals.
Are you my Paul
Pulling on
Schaefer?
things.
Yeah. I'm basically everyone on who's that awful Ben Shapiro.
Jimmy Fallon.
Oh my God.
No.
I'm everyone else other than Ben Shapiro on his own show.
Okay,
Where
let's
they
just-
repeat
okay,
whatever he says.
What I'm saying is that if you if climate change was a thing, people are not going to just sell their houses and
Sell their
and
houses.
move.
That's all they do.
I
What do
barely
you
know
want
her.
to fucking do?
Fucking Aquaman!
Once Shut Up finishes, we turn into like a right-wing
We could be
analysis
the-
podcast.
We could be the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I listened to Joe Rogan very recently.
Just to see
No,
what
into-
libertarians are
And how
thinking.
was the experience?
I want to shoot my face.
Idiots.
What is the actual appeal then?
It's like
Okay,
some...
so
yeah,
do
sorry,
you,
you go.
Do you know as a guy, literally, this is how I'm going to break it down
Yeah,
because
break it down.
this is the fucking insight, Ellen.
I know you're all shit.
No. Well, have you, Phil? You know the appeal of locker talk,
Well, you see, I'm a very feminine guy, so not really.
but you understand the
You know,
appeal. You see men getting into it.
Phil,
I,
Don't you remember backstage at the ice arena?
what do I see?
You'd love it.
I see men getting into it all the time
Yeah. In the
through
locker.
their car windows.
That's,
the dogging spot.
That's the podcast. That's
Right.
the
Oh, right,
Joe Rogan
okay.
podcast.
It's
It's
the
locker
locker
talk.
room.
It's
Okay.
locker room
Yeah.
talk.
It's like-
it's every drunken conversation
You
or
talk-
high conversation that men
Yeah.
have at 3 a.m. Or
Yeah, but I have those conversations, and they're about applying Buddhism to your everyday life.
yeah,
That's your
shut
locker
up,
room talk?
fucking
Well, that's my
liberal-
3 a.m. talk.
Right.
Shut up, liberal cunt. This is what bros talk about.
It's like the boob job in Mean Girls.
I haven't seen
I haven't
Mean
seen
Girls.
Mean Girls.
No.
Really?
No.
No.
We haven't seen Mean Girls.
There's 3 people around this table have not seen Mean Girls.
You go, Glenn Coco.
Yeah, 4 of
Oh
you,
no, I
Glenn
have seen
Coco.
Mean Girls. That's the one where they have the
Lindsay
Yeah,
Lohan.
they're Mean Girls, yeah.
No,
The
I
OC.
love that
The
film.
movie
Yeah,
or the
OC.
show?
California.
I've never seen the OC.
Who is America's wife and who is Canada's? And because Canada had to sleep with America's wife.
America's wife is? The Statue of Liberty.
No, it's not.
A little lady, you might have heard of her.
It's called Oil.
Well, you don't have to be married to be cucked, do you? Or by strict
Yeah.
definition, do you?
Yeah.
Can
I
you
think
can
it's
you be
someone
cucked as
sleeping
a
with your wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wife.
Yeah.
I think.
Could it just be your
modern
long-time
parlance.
That's
partner?
what I'm thinking.
So
Could
who's
we
the
update cuckoldry
Because-
for the
because-
modern
yeah,
era?
yeah, yeah.
Because
Right,
it's
sure.
basically
Progressive
you took
cuckoldry.
mine, you took my belonging from underneath me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So like as long as
But
you
worse still,
you could-
As long as you view
your
your woman as property.
yeah.
well, your
Still works.
your
Great.
property wanted to belong to someone else.
You were so bad at owning your property. Your
So what
property
if
got
my-
its own volition.
What if my dog wants to go with another owner?
Then you're being cucked by your dog.
Fuck.
Animal Crossing. What is it?
It's a collecting game where you.
It's a game.
It's a game.
Whoops, Sean solved it.
Hey,
There it is.
Guess
There
you-
you-
guess
That's your answer.
guess
You
you
moved
just
to-
got cucked out of an answer,
You
Chris.
move to an island or a new
No,
horizons.
stop,
anyway.
stop.
Well, yeah.
A question. How is Animal Crossing fun?
Yeah.
It's a game. It's a game.
There are lots of games that aren't fun.
I think it's like
That doesn't sound
they're
good.
called Fallout 76.
I think the
Yeah, well.
aesthetic is very a big part of it. Like all the characters are very cute. The world is nice. There are no bad consequences
Okay, now see that is a point.
because you can like,
Presentation
There's
is-
no interest on your loan. When you get a house, when you upgrade your
There's no
house, you
failure
take
state.
out a loan from Tom Nook, but there's no interest collected. So you basically just pay it off literally when you can.
But this is what I'm saying. There's no failure state, so there's no challenge. So where's the fun?
Well,
You challenge
it's
yourself.
an adorable RuneScape.
Are you saying
This is now we're getting somewhere. So what's the appeal of RuneScape?
Do you cross any
It's
animals?
a vicious Animal Crossing.